Hey guys, Dane here. In today's episode, I'll be showing you how to turn an old garden bed into a sandbox, and how to make a cover for it. One goal for this video is to show you a cost-effective way to give your kids something to love. I'll drop a link in the description for any tools you may need during this project. After removing the dirt until the base is about 10 inches from the top of the boards, I packed it down using my own weight. Then I took a 2x6 board, the same size as the rest of the box, cut it with a miter saw to fit the already in place cement blocks, and packed in dirt to keep it in place. This step will probably be unnecessary for you, depending on your garden bed. Once this was done, I laid down the weed mat. I would actually suggest doing this step after you've made the cover and only right before pouring in your sand. The next step was getting measurements for the cover. I added 6 inches to both length and width so that the cover will overhang by 3 inches on each side. I just grabbed a blue tarp that my wife and I have used for several projects over the years. A black tarp would probably look better, but blue will work for now because I'm trying to use what I have on hand, and I know my kids won't care. I'm mostly eyeballing these cuts, overestimating a bit, instead of wasting time marking first, because I can make adjustments later if needed. Using random heavy objects, I placed the tarp where I wanted it to sit. I then creased the corners and marked them to cut. Side note, I'm a big advocate for allowing your children to help wherever possible. This little dude loves to help Dad, always reminding me that. I'm a lucky man. Next, following my marks, I made a straight line using my large square and cut the corners off. Then I placed the tarp over the box about where I want it to sit. It's okay that there's slack in the center for now. Now we can start adding the buttons. Adjust the revolving punch pliers to a setting about the same size as the narrow part of the button. The holes I punched are about an inch from the bottom of the tarp. I then use the hole and a screw stud to mark where I want it. And now we drill it in. The next step is assembling the fastener by connecting the button and the socket to the tarp. Punch the button through the hole from the outside of the tarp and slide the socket onto the button. Then take this piece called the anvil, place it under the button with the socket side facing up, and use the flaring tool to hammer them together. This tool causes the narrow part of the button to flare out and hold the socket in place. The socket shouldn't spin, so you want to hammer this together until it won't spin anymore. You can see how the button has flared out, locking the socket in place. The fastener instructions say to use a wooden or plastic mallet. I don't own a wooden or plastic mallet, so initially I tried using my rubber mallet. And let's just say it took much longer than it should have. After the first few, I finally switched to my regular hammer and it was definitely quicker. I don't know if a mallet is recommended so that you don't damage the flaring tool or so that you're less likely to smash your fingers, but the regular hammer seemed to work just fine for me. When adding buttons to the tarp, I started from the front corner and worked my way back to make sure the part that's visible looks as clean and straight as I could get it. Now, let's address the drill I'm using because I'm sure some of you are laughing and shaking your heads. Yes, I use a Ryobi. In fact, all of my power tools are Ryobi. I've seen the videos poking fun at Ryobi users, and I'll admit they've made me laugh pretty hard too. That said, I've used Ryobi for years, and it's never let me down. They may not be as powerful as some brands, but they're super reliable and always get the job done. This is the moment I realized that I messed up somewhere along the way, making the backside of the tarp looser than I wanted. To be honest, I'm not quite sure how I managed to do this. It's possible that it wouldn't have been a problem if I created tension in the center of the tarp, but I didn't dwell on it too long, ultimately folding the back corner to tighten up the backside. To create a slope so that the water can't settle on the tarp, I took a 2x2 and cut it 16 inches long. With the ground being about 10 inches from the top of the box's boards, I figured an extra 6 inches would be more than enough, and I could cut it shorter later if needed. I ended up moving the position of it away from the center so that there was equal tension around the whole tarp. Then I took a foam brush because we have a million of them for some reason, and a drill bit the same size as the brush's handle. Leaving the 2x2 under the tarp, I drilled a hole about an inch deep. After cutting the foam end off with a hacksaw, I used Gorilla Glue's wood glue to stick the handle into the 2x2 post. I let this dry for about 15 minutes before testing it out. Other than the fold in the back corner, the cover turned out just how I envisioned. The final and most costly step is the sand. I'm sure most local hardware stores carry play sand, but I bought these bags at Home Depot for less than $8 each. They're 50-pound bags, and each bag covers an area of about half a cubic foot, or 6 square feet at 1 inch deep. My box is 24 square feet, and I initially bought 10 bags, which would make the sand about 2.5 inches deep. This just didn't seem like enough, so I got 6 more bags to make it an even 4 inches, and this is how it turned out. Overall, this was a pretty easy project, and I would definitely recommend it because my son could entertain himself for hours. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. It'd be much appreciated. If you have any tips or suggestions to make this project better or easier, go ahead and drop them in the comments so the viewers and myself can prove where needed.
I'm a looking man.